welcome to the last of the regular season recaps. We're going to recap week 13. We're going to give you a playoff preview. And first of all, we're going to let you know that there's no more payouts. Regular season's done. And guess who won week 13? This guy.
The commissioner. Rigged.
And so with that, we move on to the playoffs. Week 13, though, was uneventful from a league perspective. Not many crazy upsets. Tim is continuing to just lose players left and right, which, is just par for the course.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the important tasks have happened, and there's no COVID game this week. Ramsey and I have bracket is now called the Cage Match, since they're playing for the Nick Cage, which we were all wondering, ever since we decided to name it the Nick Cage, what we were going to call that. So I'm glad we got that out there.
Still floating ideas for what we might be able to rename the playoffs in honor of Keanu Reeves. So if you have any suggestions, we're open to them.
Yeah, the best I have right now is the Reawakening, but it's not that great. I'd rather just call it the playoffs.
I would too.
So we've got 2 playoff matchups and 2 cage matchups next week. And so Ramsey and I are going to give you our predictions for who we think is going to win each matchup. And next week we'll revisit and see how we did.
Yep.
Just kind of a little internal competition between Ramsey and I, since we're the only ones that really take any pleasure in these videos.
Alrighty, so first up, we've got Tim versus Boomer, since Nick and Rich have bye weeks.
No, you're missing Rich versus bye.
All right, fine. Rich versus bye. I think it's going to be Rich. What about you?
I think this is going to be a surprising upset, and Rich is going to take it against bye.
All right, so we're in agreement there.
All right, so that's useless. All right, so now we've got Tim versus Boomer.
This one's tough. Tim has just been repeatedly crippled this entire season. He's still had good games, that aside. I mean, what place is he going into this? He's still in 5th overall with only 1 game behind Boomer and, honestly, more points scored. So who's he missing now, though? It's tough to say.
Just went down. He has, like, a very, very lacking running back core. There's not much he can do. And with the trade deadline passed, he's really just at a loss.
Yeah, he's a bit shallow in the roster department, especially for running backs right now. But I mean, Boomer's got the same team he's had for a while.
Yeah, Boomer is not much farther off than that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Boomer's been rocking the same roster he's been doing all season, and he's been doing very mediocre with that roster just because fate's not been kind with the points totals for him sometimes. So yeah. I think I'm leaning Boomer just from the fact of, like, he has players to play who have the potential to do very well, whereas Tim just has he's so hurt. He's got players like fucking Pat Mahomes who can go off and throw for a 35-point quarterback game, but I mean, Alvin Kamara could equally go just as crazy, and Ben Roethlisberger could also do that, and so could Tom Brady. I mean, I'm leaning Boomer.
All right, and you know what? It's hard. I'm going to take one last peek at his roster and matchups, and yeah, I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to go with Tim.
Okay.
I think Tim has some replacements he can slide in there in his team, and maybe he'll even get Kenny Golladay back this week. And maybe with a decent defensive game, which I think Tim has a little better of an IDP edge there, he might be able to edge out Boomer for the win. So
it's definitely going to be – I say it may not end up being close in points, but it's close in potential. They're both going into it where it could go either way. I'm just leaning Boomer.
Fair enough. All right, next up we've got myself versus Bai.
I'm gonna say you're gonna lose.
Yeah, I'm really proud of my. I think my team can go all the way, and we can definitely take out Bai this week. We're gonna play our best and just do what we can and really strive through.
Alrighty, next up, Rocco and Rick.
Rocco v. Rick Jones.
What do you think
So
about this one?
this one's tough. They have once again very very similar like quality of team here. Rick's got the edge at tight end with Darren Waller because I don't know why anyone's still starting Zach Ertz, Rocco. And I also think Rick has a little more depth at the bench, which, could help him, could hurt him because he may end up making the wrong decisions on who to start. But I'm going to stick with the upset again, and I'm going to go with Rick.
All right. I mean, Rick
against McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook, and Devontae Adams. Holy shit! No wonder he's managed to get through Rocco.
I say Rocco has really kind of clawed his way up from the bottom of the barrel with the rest of us in the beginning of the season. I mean, the whole week we spent teasing for, getting by on one quarterback. And then ever since then, he's just kind of been on a bit of a tear, and he's been doing really well. And now that he's got two quarterbacks, I don't know if people can stop him.
Yeah.
He's got some major powerhouses that can just, if they're on fire. I mean, McCaffrey, Devontae Adams, Dalvin Cook. I mean, he's got Julio Jones, who's been very kind of, like, is he going to start? Is he not going to start? Kind of week to week sometimes. But I mean, maybe that's why he can play Zach Ertz.
Maybe
makes up for it in all the other positions. I think, Rick has been doing better throughout the season, but Rocco's just been kind of on a back season tear. I think I'm going to go with Rocco.
I think that's fair. It's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out.
It'll make me feel better about losing to him.
All right.
Down to the cage match.
The cage match, we've got in the first corner, Nick versus Keely. And you know what? With Carson Wentz not likely to start and a dearth of quarterbacks on the rest of the roster, I think I'm going to have to go with Nick. He's got the upside of two starting QBs. And, his roster isn't all that bad. Looking through it, I'm surprised he wasn't able to make the playoffs.
He's got a good roster that just has not been performing well for him this season.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Nick.
I mean, if Carson Wentz was playing, I might lean it back towards Keely because, again, the back season, Keely's still been losing, but she's been losing with respectable amounts of points, unlike in the beginning of the season when her team was just giving her, like, literally nothing. And, like, she and I, bottom of the barrel, had our fight where she had, 177 last week? Granted, she got 55 points from two defensive players, but she still scored higher than 5 other people in the league last week. And so she's got people who can do well, but I think I'm going to have to agree with you that it's probably going to be Nick. Her team is, like so many of ours this season, is a bit extra shallow, and without having some kind of second quarterback and anybody else that she just might not have a chance to fill out her roster with, I think it's going to go Nick.
That's fair. All right. And the last match we've got
Andy. Myself and Scott.
Yep. And I'm going to have to go with yourself.
There we go.
I don't think Scott's going to check his lineup. That you have a better shot as well.
I am pretty tired, and I would like to go for myself also. I don't think I'm going to lose to Scott. I've lost to him before when he was still like in the I just finally got back from checking my lineup phase. I don't know. I feel like I've got a better setup at running back and wide receiver than he does. Tight end, I can be pretty hit or miss. But defensive players, I've got some pretty consistently decent people. I don't really know about his, but I mean, I don't know why Jabril Peppers still has his predicted 8.8 points for whatever. He hasn't scored under 10. Hasn't scored under 12 points in the last 6 games he's played. The man is just on a defensive tear this last bit. He's been doing fantastic for me. That said, I've still got people like Mike Williams in there and AJ Brown with a massive dud last week, but I don't know. I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
That said, I've got Nick Mullins as my quarterback, so that could basically mean I'm a one quarterback league. He got 20 points this last week, but I mean, who knows what he's going to do next week?
Yeah, especially against that Washington pass rush. But
yeah. And then I could potentially replace him with Mike Glennon. So I don't have a lot of options there either.
Yeah, I think Scott is interesting. If he does end up swapping out COVID-ridden DJ Moore for another player, or if DJ Moore comes back off the COVID list, he's got a decent shot. He has some pretty high upside players in here, and it's just a matter of whether or not they pan out. So
true. That said, on the reverse side, he's got Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback, but I've got Robert Tonyan as a tight end, who's been a very big red zone threat, plus Aaron Jones. So if Rodgers decides to go for a run instead of a pass at the end zone, that hurts him and helps me directly.
Yeah.
So and if he does throw a pass and it's to Tonyan instead of one of like Devontae Adams or somebody else, that directly counteracts a bunch of the points he's getting.
Mm-hmm. And it would also ruin some points for Rocco.
It would also ruin some points for Rocco, but Aaron Rodgers is going up against Detroit, so he might throw several touchdowns. And who knows? Aaron Jones might run in several more. It's a crapshoot, but I feel like it's less close than some of the other ones that we've talked about. I feel pretty confident, but I don't want to jinx myself on that.
All right. Well, we are running low on time, and I think we've got all of our punches in. So have a great week, everybody. Set your lineups and fight to win.
Or in the cage matches, fight to not lose.
Yeah.